We're going to learn a third form of a linear equation today. We have worked a lot with slope-intercept form. We have learned and used standard form, and this is called point-slope form. Okay, it has times just like the other two when it's more useful than the others. And this one also shows up a lot on standardized tests. So this is one that might be useful for you when you take the ACT in high school. Let's first start by graphing some things given a point on a line and its slope. So if I want to graph a line through the point 2, -2 with a slope of 1/3, the first thing I would need to do is plot the point 2, -2, and then use the slope to find more points. So from here, if I had a slope of 1/3, I would go up 1 and right 3, put another point. I could do it again, up 1 and right 3. That's my slope. I'm going to come back here and go backwards because I want to show you something. So I'm going to go down 1 and left 3. And I'm going to attempt to draw the line through those points. That's not too terrible. Okay. And here is a line through the point 2, -2 with a slope of 1/3. Notice my y-intercept is somewhere between -2 and -3. I don't know exactly where it is. So if I needed to write this in slope-intercept form, it would be a little hard to do just from looking at the graph, correct? Okay, so now I want you to graph one. This one says to graph a line through the point 1, 3 with a slope of -2. So use this coordinate plane and you graph a line that has this characteristic. Does your line look like mine? Does it go through the point 1, 3, and does it have a slope of -2? Now notice this one we could find the y-intercept pretty easily, right? It's right there. It's a 5. We could write this in slope-intercept form without a lot of problems. But now let's see what point-slope form is and how we're going to use it. Okay, I'm going to admit to you that the hardest part of point-slope form is actually setting it up, actually showing you why it works. So bear with me. In fact, I've changed my mind about some things up here. So we're going to ignore this graph and I'm going to tell you the important stuff. But the most important thing is that you know the point slope form. I'm going to try to tell you where it came from. If that doesn't make any sense to you, it's okay. Just make sure you know the form. Okay. So point slope form says if I have a line through the point x1, y1, so that's a specific point on the line, just like we knew in our graphs a minute ago, and that if it has slope m, so that's the slope. Point slope form says y minus y1, that's the y coordinate of the point we have, equals the slope times x minus x1. Okay, so y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. That is point slope form. Where it comes from is the slope formula. Let me just briefly show you this. You can write it down up here. If I have the point x1, y1 and the point x2, y2, we learned the slope formula when we were learning how to find slope. And we said y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 equals the slope, right? Now, some of you don't use the slope formula. Some of you use the mini table, but this is the slope formula. And if you can imagine, if I take this part right here and I multiply both sides by the whole denominator, that moves this over here by slope, right? And then I'm left with the y's over here. So the y minus y1 is the numerator of the slope formula, and then the slope times x minus x1 is this times this. So it comes from the slope formula. That's all you need to know is point slope form comes from the slope formula. How on earth do we use it? Well, here's how. So these instructions say write an equation in point slope form of the line that passes through the given point and has the given slope. So they're going to give you m, they're going to give you the slope, and they're going to give you a point. That's why it's called point slope form. You got to have a point, you got to have the slope. and you're going to label that point x1, y1, and then today they're going to give you m. And for right now, I want you to write point slope form every time. It is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So write it so that we can see it. Now, this x and this y, those are just the generic x and y of any point that are on the line. So you just copy it. And then you say minus, and you plug in y1, which is 7, equals the slope, here it's -4, times x, that's the generic x, so you just copy it, minus x1, which is 2. So y minus 7 equals -4 times the quantity x minus 2. And guess what? You're done. That is point slope form of this line. What I want you to see, this was a +7 up here. It's a -7 in the form. This was a +2 up here. This is a -2 in the form. Notice that these two, the signs change from the point you started with. Okay? Next one, let's do another one. This says we have the point 7, -6, and the slope is 1/2. So I'm going to label that x1, y1, and then my m is 1/2. So I'm going to write y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. And I'm going to plug in what I have. So y minus y1 is -6 equals 1/2 times x minus, and x1 is 7. Now this has a little bit of cleaning up I can do. I have a minus a negative here, so I can say y plus 6 equals 1/2 times x minus 7. That is point slope form. I'm done. Notice I started with a -6 up here. I ended up with a +6 down here, a +7 up here, a -7 down here. They change signs. So y plus 6 equals 1/2 times x minus 7. Okay? I want you to try the next one. This is my point, x1, y1. This is my slope. We're using point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. So you plug these values in and see what you get. Did you get y minus 2 equals -3/4 times x plus 8? So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And since x1 is -8, x minus a -8 became x plus 8. Do it one more time. I have the point 4, -5, and the slope is 6. Write the equation of this line in point slope form. Check your answer. Y plus 5 equals 6 times the quantity x minus 4. It looks weird. We actually sort of leave it unsimplified. The only thing we ever have to take care of is if we subtract a negative, we have to make it a positive. Okay, so what if they give me an equation in point slope form and they want me to graph it? We need to know the slope and the point, right? Well, the slope is easy to figure out. It is, if we do y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, the slope is that number in front of the parentheses, right? So the slope of this line is 3. Now we need the point. And remember that the signs changed. This started with a minus, but we have pluses here. We have addition signs. How did we get that? Well, this was y minus a -4, right? Because to subtract a negative, that would make it a plus, equals -3. And then this had to be x minus a -2, right? I needed a minus and I had to subtract a negative to get a positive. So my point, my x coordinate is -2, and my y-coordinate up here with the y was -4. So notice it started with x plus 2, so my x-coordinate was -2. It started with y plus 4, so my y-coordinate was -4. The signs change. So now to graph it, this is sort of like what we started. I need to plot the point -2, -4. That's right there. And I need a slope of 3. So that's 3 over 1. So from here, I'm going to go up 3 and right 1. And then I'll go up 3 and right 1. And I just graphed this line that they gave to me in point slope form. Okay, let me do one more before I turn you loose on it. So this time my equation is y minus 1 equals 3 times the quantity x plus 6. So that means my slope is 3, right? That's always going to be the number in front of the parentheses. So I need a minus y minus y1 and x minus x1. This one's already done, right? So that's already minus 1 equals 3. And then x minus a -6. For it to have been subtraction, I had to subtract a negative to become plus. So my point, my x-coordinate is -6, and my y-coordinate is a positive 1. Again, notice whatever it started with changes sign. So this was plus 6. My x-coordinate is -6. This was -1. My x-coordinate was positive 1. So I need to plot the point, -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoops, not right there. -6, positive 1. So -6, positive 1, and then I need to do my slope of 3 over 1. So I'm going to go up 3 and over 1, and I don't have room to do any more. So I'm just going to draw my line through those 2 points, and I just graphed that line. Okay? All right, so one more. I'm going to let you do a lot of this one on your own. It says y plus 4 equals -5 halves times x minus 3. Let's do the easy part first. Tell me what the slope of this line is. Did you get -5 halves? That was the easy part, right? Now I want you to give me the coordinates of the point that the line goes through. What's the x-coordinate? What's the y-coordinate? Remember to watch your signs. Did you get the point 3, -4? It was x minus 3, so my x-coordinate is positive 3. It was y plus 4, so my y-coordinate is -4. Change the signs of your coordinates. Okay, now you graph the line that goes through the point 3, -4 and has a slope of -5 halves. All right, how'd you do? So here's the point 3, -4, and since the slope is negative, I didn't have room to go down and right. So I went up and left, and I did it twice. And there's my beautiful line that goes through this point and has this slope. Okay, so I know this is new. I know this is weird. We will do practice with it, and we will become pros.